Hmm? Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today's topic being the emerging paradigm in interaction design, which we are going to commence from this session, June 2017, from the School of Design Studies at UPES, Dehradun. Now, most welcome to the willing boys and girls who might have been watching from somewhere. Let me take you back to the history and origin of interaction design, which we commenced from the National Institute way back about 25 years back. At that point of time, what we used to do was we used to handle a course called display and control of any machine, because displays are the things that you see and then you take a decision, you understand those displays. After you have taken a decision, then you decide what to do, then you maybe press a button or switch it on or switch it off or increase the volume or something like that. So we used to call that as a display and control project. And any interface that you see on electronic devices, we used to take that as classroom projects. Now, while doing the above, we did a couple of major interfaces for the Space Application Center, um, design development of the machines of Ahmedabad Textile Industries Research Association, electronic products, any other controls and devices through which you feed in information to the machine and the machine does something, you try to understand, you take a decision, and again you do something. So this loop of, it's called designing the interfaces, user interfaces. So at a point of time, we reached at the zenith of these kind of interfaces, whereby we designed something, let's say, for an interface for your food ordering system. It is something like when you go to the restaurants or the hotels, when they bring the menu card, you see a lot of things, but you don't know what is coming onto your plate. So we decided that why don't we design an interface through which you will be able to edit your food. Somebody doesn't take salt or sugar, they can delete that out. You get to know exactly what portion that you are getting. Is it enough for one or two? And we did a couple of interfaces. For example, suppose you land up into a new city, can you buy out a CD through which you will be able to navigate the city, try to understand where to go, where to eat, and things like that, where to live. So while doing that, what we did was, um, at a point of time, it was way back around 2000, 2001, that we spliced these projects into two PG programs. One we called Software and User Interface Design, the other one is Information and Digital Design. Software and User Interface Design, what we planned was the way you um, interact, you give command to a machine, or you want to do something, how to achieve it. For example, you have taken a snap, you want to send it to only 3 people and not to fourth person. So while in one hand you have a mental model of an ideal way of doing things, does the interface take you through the step-by-step process? So such kind of programs, we called it SUID, Software and Information Design. The other program that we structured is called Information and Digital Design, which is basically information architecture and layering. What kind of information should come at the level 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, based on the kinds of wants, needs and requirements, importance, frequency, priority, etc. While we ran these two programs from NID's Gandhinagar campus, we were developing NID's R&D campus at Bangalore. That was the point of time, which was about 2004, 5, around that time, when we foresaw that the moment you are on an electronic interface, your experience becomes a very important matter, because the moment you are on an electronic format, one is also talking about inclusion. Something like if you talk about Facebook or WhatsApp, it's the best example of uh, inclusive approach of IT, because the moment you mark a copy to your friends, what you want to do is you want to include those people into your interface. And the moment you do that, the style of doing something in one system, in one design, one may not be too happy. In the other one, it could be very intuitive, very, very, satisfying experience. So we foresaw that user experience on the digital media is coming in a big way. So it was 2007 when we commenced another PG program called uh, Design for Digital Experience. So these two programs ran for about, again for another 5 years. Then we took a stock from the industry, from our alumni, saying that what is the most contemporary mode of, UI issues that are coming up. We discovered that two things are coming up, three things are coming up in a huge way. One is the design of the information element itself. When you press a button, do you understand the legend? Do you understand what is written on the top of it? Do you understand the icon? Is the icon very clear for you to understand? For example, you want to throw a folder out. Now, the way the information has been designed, is it correct? Is it for universal understanding, that anybody in the world will be able to understand that icon? So one is designing the information elements. The second one is your interaction style. In certain cases, you press, you swap, you swipe, you pull, push. All these are kinds of interaction design. And the third thing that is coming up in a big way is your experience. Now, let me take a pause at this point of time. If one looks at all the issues of, and by the way, the moment you're talking about an user interface, interaction style, and user experience, one is basically talking about about 4 to 5 points. One is designing the information elements, interaction style, the media, the architecturing, and the moment you do that, I also talked about the inclusion approach, and finally what you talk about, and the overall experience of using that interface. But at this point of time, when technology has progressed quite far, what we have been foreseeing is probably that it's not, the future need will be not designing a better interface, but what will be my want of interacting with something. For example, let me give you an example. I personally think that, while in one hand somebody is developing, might be developing a couple of smart refrigerators, but very soon it is not going to be only smart refrigerator. It's going to be the issue of how do I want to interact with the refrigerator. You know, if you want to look at my personal foreseeing is that we'll have a lot of inclusion of digital media in our kitchen, in our living room. As a matter of fact, when one designs a living room to his or her bestest choice, but after some time it gets slightly monotonous, he or she feels that, how do I bring more life into those four walls? So my personal forecast is a lot of digital inclusion is going to happen on your um, living room itself, whereby in one command or in one press, you'll be able to change the mood or the motif of your living room. You can make it four walls becoming, you'll feel that you are sitting inside a jungle. You will be sitting in front of a waterfall. You will be sitting midst of a, let's say, a desert or something like that. So, and in the kitchen, if you look at, the digital inclusion has already come, whereby in one hand you try to understand how the recipe is being made, how to cook. On the other hand, you are actually cooking it. But if you forecast it, if you take it farther forward, if you do a little trend forecasting, I personally see that there will be a lot of digital inclusion in your kitchen. The same way, I personally feel that a lot of improvement and technological advancements are going to come when it comes to training and simulation, be it for training in various games or training in decision-making systems. But in simulation, how do you make oxygen? How do you make hydrogen? How do you make water? And I personally foresee that in when the an MBBS candidate practices his hands-on surgery or something like that, cut the dead body of the coat. I personally foresee that these are going to become much more advanced in the digital media. For example, you'll be able to create a dead body, through maybe um, holographically and holding certain haptic devices. You'll be able to cut that body while in one hand you'll be getting the exact look and feel. So lot of so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a new frontier of the way interaction is going to happen, take place at your home, in your offices, in manufacturing systems. In the manufacturing system, let's say when the first gentleman joins as an apprentice or maybe in charge of maintenance, uh, how do you train him? How do you train him or her? The training mechanisms will be designed digitally such that his efficacy of learning and efficiency of learning becomes much more faster, easier, reliable, and much more productive. So, from the School of Design Studies at the UPES, what we plan to do is, while in one hand the candidates will be absolutely thorough about the design process, they will be expected to take up minimum 2 to 3 projects, out of which one will be his or her final 4 to 6 month project. And in those projects, we want to define the new frontiers through an innovative approach of affecting design. So, in one hand, while the students are expected to learn certain basics and the design process, he or she will also be, he or she will also be sort of pushed to do R&D driven developments and innovations and new frontiers of interaction. So the way I began, if you recall, I began with information design, interaction design, and experience design. So at this point of time, what I want to mention is that this interaction design is going to be a culmination of all the 3, 4 things that I just mentioned about. Um, at this particular point, if any of the boys and girls, anybody who is looking at this webinar, if he or she or they have any questions, I'm ready to answer. I see Manish Kumar. When will it start? Um, Manish, have you been seeing this? In case you are watching this, can I expect some feedback from you? I see one query from Albin Verghese. Well, transportation design. Yes, I can talk about transportation design, but may not be. This is may not be the right session. We do have a PG program on transportation design. You can go through our site, whereby it has been mentioned in detail. Yes, Manish. Well, career prospects, Manish. As a matter of fact, probably it is one of the programs in the entire academic world in India that if you can do something good, if you're original, you will be sucked into the system of the industry. Whereby, let me give you a couple of examples, because my own students have worked on that. They have been currently working with major companies. For example, I remember Anurag Arora did his final project on interaction design with Microsoft. We had worked on the future of emails, because if you look at the way you send an email, you you though it's a matter of written communication. I'm coming back to your point. In doing an email, what you do is actually think of something, translate that down into an English format. You write English, it though may not be a right or wrong, then you send it. But while sending the email, you are actually not sending some English text. You are communicating with him or her. So Anurag had worked on that. Currently, Anurag handles all the Android applications from Flipkart. Ashmita was the person who did her project with me. Her client was cleartrip.com. So currently, Ashmita also, I can tell you that from my experience at NID, by the way, I joined here in last November 2015. Till October 2015, I was with NID, National Institute of Design, latest with the National Institute of Design R&D campus at Bangalore. What I have seen is that those programs that I just mentioned about design for digital experience and information and interface design, I can guarantee you that if you are original and unique, and if you have a very interesting way of, making an intuitive interface, um, from my experience, I can tell you that on an average, the moment you are graduating out, you'll be getting minimum 2 to 3 offers in the industry. The entire IT industry is looking for UI UX designer and interaction designer. Does that answer your query? Manish, does that answer your query? Well, since I have two queries right in front of me on the screen, and one somebody was, Alvin was asking about transportation design. Well, of course, one can look at transportation design and interaction design together, because what the current world has been sort of mulling over is that the new frontiers of interaction of between a driver and the the driving deck. So what we have been forecasting is that maybe at a point of time, the entire driving deck, the control display systems that you see in front in the car, will become completely electronic. Now, by saying don't think electronic means automatic, because automatics and interaction and interface are not same. Though one action could be automatized, but the way of interacting is that something different, which you can't automate. So we also have been foreseeing a lot of developments in transportation design when it comes to new kinds of interactions. Well, yes, you can note down my email ID, which is s dot Ghoshal at ddn dot upes dot ac dot in. No, he wanted to have my email ID. Okay. So Manish and Alvin, do you have any further queries? Well, I see one query from Abhay Jindal. What is ergonomics? It's actually very simple. Abhay, let me keep you posted. It's actually very simple to understand, but you need to understand very clearly. Any product that you see could be your pen, could be the laptop that through which we are communicating, the table and chair that you and I are sitting, any product, any space, any product that you see. There are three issues in that. One are the basic elements. If you look at a pen, there could be 10,000 varieties of pens, but basically pen by element is very, very simple. Either it's a roller ball, then you have glycerin with ink, gravitational force. When you write, you put the pen on the paper, you drag it, the roller ball rotates, ink falls, you write. If you look at the tables and the chairs, by element they're same. Now the question becomes, somebody takes those elements and gives it a shape and form, which is design. And the third thing is, the moment you design a product, be it a mobile or a pen, a table or a chair or anything, a third party uses and interacts with that. That part of interaction is called ergonomics. So in that kind of interaction, in one track, you will have physical interaction, which are basically matters of body size, body posture, the length of a handle, whether you'll be able to hold it properly or not, whether you can design a comfortable chair where by sitting you feel comfortable, um, you know, designing a toggle switch in a machine which it becomes easier for you to hold and press. Those are physical issues of ergonomics. And there is another track of ergonomics which is cognitive ergonomics. Cognitive ergonomics is when you look at things, do you understand what is this? When you look at a book, how do you understand that it's a book and it's not a writing pad? The moment you look at a handle, do you know that handle is to be held for what? You are looking at an icon. Do you understand what the icon is? You are looking at a graphic symbol. Do you understand what the graphic symbol is? And there are other part of cognitive ergonomics is the way you take a decision. The moment you see something, have you understood what is to be done with that? So that's called cognitive part of ergonomics. So one is physical ergonomics, one is cognitive ergonomics. Does that answer your question, Abhay? Abhay, are you in line? Abhay Jindal. For tangible interaction design, how much should we be able to understand product design and what is the scope of tangible interface in India? See, it is nothing called product or India. Um, the moment you essentially, the moment you design an interface, it's basically for human interface. And the moment you design an interface, it has to sit on a product, be it the controls and displays of a handheld device or on your mobile handset. Now the question becomes, well, to an extent, interaction designers, they at a point of time, they need not understand the product design part of it, but they at least should be able to understand that where should the interface sit. Let me give you an example. You have a toaster at home. You designed a very interesting interface. But are you clear where will you place that interface? Is it on the upper side, lower side, right hand side, left hand side, middle, the side of the machine? So if you need to understand the product slightly in terms of its product overall product usage. Abhay is asking, can you tell me about product design at UPS? Please understand, no longer we call it a product, because please understand that the chair on which I'm sitting, will you call it furniture or it's a product? Essentially, it's a furniture, but it's a product also as well. Um, if I look at a storage system that I have in front of me, is it a furniture or is it a product? So no longer we are talking about a product, but we are taking a British formula, the kind of thing that we have seen in Middlesex um, University, Birmingham Institute of Art and Design, Royal College of Design, Royal College of Arts, etc., is that anything three-dimensional and anything which has to go through an industrial process will be called industrial design. So please be clear that any product can come under industrial design. Does that clear, Abhay? Does that give you an answer? So I think time is running short. I think I have exactly 1 more minute to go. So I hope you guys have been more or less clear as on today. I can see Manish, Abhay, Manvi, yeah. Well, email ID you can write down is.ghoshal at ddn.upes.ac.in. So I can see about 5, 6 names on my screen. I think the time is running out. So thank you guys very much, and in case you are interested, most welcome. Abhay's question, product design methodology, course details, everything is clear. Accommodation, of course, we can't accommodate. See, please understand, when it comes to accommodation, we have about 11,000 boys and girls. You can't accommodate 11,000 all of them. We do have internal accommodation, as well as you get paying guest accommodations outside, which are absolutely clean, clear, no problem so far I have heard. And placements, well, of course, okay, placements, I can tell you, the master's program last 2 years have achieved nearly, for example, last year, all well placed. Last year, that is the batch which are graduating out this 17, out of 32, 28 are already placed. And please understand, when we talk about placements, what we mention is the final project that the boys and girls do are in design. It is more or less considered as a placement, because 90 to 95% of those projects where they join in, the clients say that why don't you come back and continue. Sometimes what happens is the boys and girls, when they do a 4 to 6 month project, they sometimes they say that no sir, I have been doing this for the last 4 to 6 months, I would do something else. Those are different cases, but placements have been so far so good, very well placed. Companies like Design Directions, Dismania, Advantage, Tata Elxsi, General Motors, they have taken our boys and girls and graduates. Neeru Verma, when will the session for interaction? I think how many have enrolled for master's program? As of now, I don't have the enrollment picture, but I hear it is going quite strong now. This is to Neeru Verma. Any other questions? Well, the session for interaction design will start from June 2017 onwards. This is to Neeru. Anybody will have any further questions, queries? I can see Virendra Gupta is online, so those who have been asking for email IDs, you can write to, as you can see, vgupta@ups.ac.in. Virendra is sitting online from Delhi. Any other questions, queries? Abhay, Neeru, Manish. So I don't see any more queries or questions on my chat box. So all of you individually are most welcome. Visit our site and wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.